Welcome to Swag, some wisdom and gear from college admission leaders. Today we're joined by Kevin Mathis, Dean of Admissions at Bucknell University. Kevin, welcome.
Hi, Brennan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want you to start by giving your elevator pitch with an overview of why students might want to consider Bucknell.
Absolutely. One of the things I always talk about with Bucknell is that we are a small to mid-sized institution, but operates like a much bigger one. So 3,700 undergraduate students, only 50 graduate students, but we have this distinct structure that we have three separate colleges: College of Arts and Sciences, College of Engineering, and our Freeman College of Management. But at our core, we're a liberal arts institution. So one of the things students will find is that you get the breadth of a curriculum, you get to take classes amongst the three colleges, but we do have these very distinct colleges, two great pre-professional colleges, as well as an amazing liberal arts college that students can work with.
That's great, thanks. So we're gonna hit the lightning round of questions, and the one I wanna start with is, what is one unique program offered at your school?
For sure, it's animal behavior. We have one of the oldest undergraduate animal behavior programs in the country. And what makes it really unique at Bucknell is that we actually have a primate lab on campus. So we house a species of baboon, lion-tailed macaws, squirrel monkeys, and capuchins. So our students get to observe their behavior. It's not animal testing at all. It's very much behavioral science. And it's extremely rare to find that kind of facility at an undergraduate institution. So really, really excited about that one.
And if they run out of research there, they can tune into the back room in the admission office, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Why
not? What is one fun tradition at your school?
So for me, it's one that I actually went through myself. I'm actually a Bucknell graduate. And I think that it's something I did when I was a student and continues to this day. And it's during our orientation program for first year students. There's an afternoon dedicated to a program called Color Games. And essentially all of the first year students are given a generic gray Bucknell t-shirt. Every hallway is assigned a pink color. Your orientation assistant kind of swipes you with it. And then you spend the entire afternoon with the other first year students playing games like Dizzy Bat, three-legged race. There's a giant slip and slide. And what's really fun is at the end, you're usually covered in multiple colors of paint because you've interacted with other first year students in your class from different hallways. So it's a great way to just have some fun, get to know your classmates, and enjoy an afternoon together.
That sounds cool. Do you have a favorite spot on campus?
I have a couple, but the one I was thinking of today is I really like a space called the Willard Smith Library. It's actually a small library housed with our English department. The funny thing is it's literally a few hundred feet away from the main library on campus, but it's tucked away in a corner. It's got beautiful kind of floor to ceiling bookcases. I love the chairs, big and comfy. It gives you that real feel of academia. It's a quieter space if you just need somewhere to do some work as a student, or even me as a staff member to just kind of get away from the office for a little bit and collect your thoughts. It's a great place to go to go do that kind of work.
Might we find you napping there during the business day?
The chairs are not that big for me to be able to nap, but they are quite comfortable to kind of just sit in and read or do some work.
Gotcha. So let's kind of zoom out a bit. And what do you see as the greatest myth in college admission?
The biggest one that comes to mind is, I think there's this myth that students won't get in anywhere. And I think it's something that a lot of us in the profession talk about, that the media is so focused on the most hyper-selective institutions in the country that the narrative becomes nobody can get in. And in reality, you know, I'm trying to think of the most up-to-date number I heard. I think the average admit rate at institutions across the country is 65% or more. So the odds are greatly, greatly in everyone's favor. And I think that you just, as students and families think about this process, you have to widen your lens a little bit to realize that everyone will get in somewhere if they create a good list with a lot of variety and are excited about all their options. So that's one of the things I always try to debunk for students.
That's great advice. What about one truth about college admission?
That there's real people behind everything. You know, I feel that, again, I think some of the narrative is that there's this formula or there's something that you get put through and then a decision comes out. And I'm really fortunate. I have a phenomenal team that I get to oversee, and they really love this work. They're invested in it. They love getting to know the students. I think what students don't get to see is the advocacy they do when they have met a student and then read their application and really want them to be part of the class. So there is heart in this process, and I think sometimes it's not always an awareness that folks have that we're actually doing the work behind the scenes and really care about what we do.
That's true, right? You're educators at heart.
Mm-hmm.
What should students know about affordability and access?
I think the big one for me is just to not be afraid of published tuition room and board costs. I think that we're all trying to put that out there, but at the same time, I think that there are families who immediately get turned off by the expense of higher education. And it leads to my kind of piece of advice with that, which is to do your homework on financial aid, because there's a lot of great resources. Besides, there's net price calculators that all of us have. Bucknell is part of a group that uses something called My Intuition, which is 6 to 8 questions and gives you a range of what your aid package might look like. So it's not very specific, but it gives you kind of a broad area of what you might receive. And I think that, families should really engage with that to understand that some of these expensive places are actually going to be cheaper than what they perceive other schools will be, particularly maybe some state institutions that they're looking at. We give really good financial aid at Bucknell and at a lot of private institutions. And I think it's something I really encourage families to delve into to understand the options that they have with affordability.
That's great advice. Don't be aware of sticker shock, right?
Right.
What is the best question a student should ask on a campus tour, and what would be your answer at Bucknell?
So I spent some time thinking about this question, and I'll be honest, I was a former tour guide at Bucknell when I was a student, so I was trying to think through, a long time ago, what kind of questions I would get. But the one that kind of cropped up for me right now is I really encourage students to ask their tour guides, how did you meet your friends and what do they do on campus? Because one of the things I think a lot about with first-year students coming is that there's a lot of anxiety students have about a basic need in college, which is how am I going to make friends? How am I going to transition to college, become a part of a community? And I think that a lot of tour guides will talk about things that their friends do, but I also feel like one of the things that's sometimes missing is, but how did you get to know them? How will I, as a student coming here, get to know different people? And I think the other thing when you ask about what their friends are doing is it gives you insight into how students interact with one another at that college. Are they a little more siloed where they're only staying with people they met in their first year hall, or are they very programmatic with academics? Is it something based on what they do, socially? So I think that there are ways that you can understand, are folks branching out? Is it kind of a wider net, or how does the community work when you ask that kind of question and get that answer from the tour guide?
That's great. And what was your answer as a tour guide about Bucknell?
So for me, it was, I had kind of 4 main areas where I created my friend group. It was some folks from my first year hall. I became a tour guide in my first year. So I met a lot of folks through admissions. Some of them are still my best friends today. And I'm the only one doing admissions, by the way. So they all ended up in lots of different things. And then I sang in an a cappella group and was part of the orientation program. So through all of those things, I met lots of different people. And it's how I got to know, I was in the College of Arts and Sciences. It's how I got to know people in management and engineering, in lots of different fields. And I think it helped broaden my perspective and my experience at Bucknell.
Little known fact, I was also an a cappella singer. Maybe we need to put together the admission quartet or something.
I'm sure we could. There's enough of us in the field that do that.
Well, that's great. Thanks for that wisdom. And now it is time for the gear. So let's reach into the swag bag and see what you have for us. Swag bag. Love my students. All right, look at this. What do we got on there?
Traditional, a great Bucknell hoodie. I think everybody at Bucknell tries to have some sort of hoodie. I love this one. It's our bison mascot. Super comfortable, keep you warm in the fall on campus. So great one.
Beware of the bison. And there it
is.
And
then I had to get this t-shirt. I actually have this as a long sleeve. It is the most comfortable t-shirt that I own.
It feels amazing.
So it's amazing. So I love that company. I think it's called The League. They make some of our stuff, and I it's the most comfortable t-shirt. So I had to get it for this program because I was like, somebody's going to get this and you're going to want to live in it, I think.
Oh, that's great. Hey, Kevin, thanks so much, and appreciate all you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me.